August 18th, I sat up in the morning and I suddenly felt this weight lifted off my chest because all this time I've been thinking, you know, I just don't work well in big institutions. I don't thrive as well as I do in small businesses, small nonprofits. And so, unfortunately, that means that essentially I either go with what I'm good at in small businesses and essentially flip the quarter. Do I live long enough to enjoy it? Or do I go work at Mick Corp and regret, live long enough to regret it? That's essentially the choice that we're faced with in the America that we now have, and yet I keep hearing all this lip service about how small business is the engine of innovation, and it's great, and it hires 70% of Americans. I mean, 70% of Americans are going through what I'm going, and they like it? Maybe my fellow Americans are insane. I just sat there and thought, well, if they're... Wait a minute. The purpose of a civilization is to protect, at a most basic level, you form a village, or whatever you want to call it, a fort, thousands of years ago, to protect yourself from predators, be they wolves or the neighbors. So, the purpose of a civilization is to protect the members from predators. Well, these insurance companies are acting like predators, and I'm not getting any insurance. I just watched a bunch of guys get up in front of Congress with the cameras rolling on C-SPAN, live, and the congressmen and the senators, I forget which it was, the hearings, were saying, well, here's these people that made a tiny little mistake, and you've rescinded their contract, and now they're dying. Will you stop rescinding people's contracts? And they said, no, and no. And they were allowed to walk out of the building. I said, oh my God, these people just admitted to murder for profit, and they were allowed to walk out of the building. If those had been 4 black men with pistols, they'd have been wrestled to the floor, and you'd never see them again. But these guys, because they're white, they got lawyers, and they got suits, they were allowed to leave the building and go make more money. And I said, wow. If there isn't a bigger fulcrum point in American history, I'm not sure, in my lifetime, I'm not sure what it is. Because if we can't perform this most basic moral test of a civilization, then we don't, in fact, have a functioning civilization. And so I'm not feeling the weight off my chest just yet, because I'm like, oh my God, I'm living in a failing civilization. And you know who dies first in failing civilizations? It's not the elite. So I was like, oh, wait a minute. There are 37 other nations that have figured this out. I can leave. I could take my tax money, my passion, my energy, my solutions, and go somewhere where they actually value me. All of a sudden, I don't feel quite so freaked out anymore. Now, I'm not saying y'all got to leave the United States to get health care. I hope it doesn't come to that. But it has occurred to me that is the final nuclear option. We just tell the right-wingers, you've been telling us if you don't love America, leave it. I'll tell you what, I'm going to take you up on it. Good luck paying for the military, because you're not getting my taxes anymore. And that means your Social Security and your Medicare is also not getting paid for by me. Good, double luck. Because I'll bet you a lot of those conservatives haven't really thought about it. They say love it or leave it. But what are they really going to do if America's innovation centers that are blue states, like California, Silicon Valley, Oregon, New York City, had a big brain drain? You know that the blue states pay more in federal taxes than they get in federal services, and the red states, ironically, take more from the feds than they give? That means that when the liberal brain drain leaves America, the first people that are going to hurt the most are the conservatives, not the liberals. I don't think they've thought through this. And what I want to say is, let's start asking the question, is America, in fact, the best place to start a small business anymore? Is America the most cost-effective place? Go to their terms. Is America the most cost-effective place to create your dream anymore? And just say, well, let me think about that. If I go to Germany or New Zealand or Australia or, just about any place that's civilized, it's going to be like, okay, I pay 52% in taxes instead of 45%. Yeah, but I get to live. You figure taxes take a portion of my life, but there's no bigger tax than being dead, right? That's 100% right here. So, it seems like a great deal. So what if we took all that innovation and took it to all these other countries? I'm just saying let's ask the question. I'm not saying let's go. I'm just saying let's start the conversation and say, do you realize we're not a captive audience? If you don't value us, we'll go. And I don't think you've thought through what that means. That's my message to the conservatives.
I just wanted to share a little healthcare story. I used to work at Whole Foods Market, and by the way, the CEO of Whole Foods, John Mackey, is totally against single payer. So we should be picketing Whole Foods Market right now, and or whenever in the future, and you know, send our message out. But anyway, I used to work for Whole Foods, and I finally got health insurance there. I was paying about $60-something a month, and keep in mind I was getting paid like $400 every 2 weeks, so it was a lot. And I never needed healthcare. You know what I mean? I never got sick or anything like that. After I quit the job, of course, I lost the health care, and when I finally got sick, the money wasn't there. So even though I was paying $62 every month, this huge money going to the insurance companies, I wasn't covered. They said I forfeited it because I quit my job. So that's an example of how healthcare is tied to your job. If you lose your job in this country, you pretty much lose your healthcare. That's what the auto companies, the auto workers are facing right now. That's what millions of workers all over this country are facing right now. So the only real reform is single payer. That's what we should be supporting right now, single payer. And the only way we're going to get that is by mobilizing in the streets. We need a grassroots movement for single payer right now. We need millions of people mobilizing in the streets. We need sit-ins. We need strikes. We need anything that's going to get these politicians to finally listen to us. Their pockets are in the hand of the lobbyists. These corporations are spending millions of dollars. They are powerful. They're spending millions of dollars to silence us. They don't want single payer because they know that it's going to do away with their profits, and they don't want that. So we have to tell them that, no, we want single payer. We want everybody insured. Healthcare is a human right. We have to get out in the streets, protests, sit-ins, strikes, anything that's going to get these corporations to listen to the power of the people. So single payer now. Thanks.
I came here today, I didn't think I had a healthcare story. And then when the young lady came over here and what happened to her in Germany, he said, yeah, I have a healthcare story. My wife had knee replacement last week. My wife is 67 years old, and she was sent home after 3 days. And she came home with a shoulder injury that they did in the operating table. And he said, well, but you're going to get help at home. Well, it's the third day that my wife is home, and 2 days the home care has not shown up. So, you know, that's when I heard that you could stay 2 weeks. My wife at 67 had to go home after 3 days, and we're going to get in-home care, and 2 out of the 3 days, no one had shown up. Oh, the guy that filled out the paper showed up on Sunday, you know, so we could sign all the things and what we had to pay. And my wife has Medicare, and we are retired from AT&T, and we have secondary health care. So I'm scared to think the people that do not have any kind of insurance. That is a shame, and that is not what America is about, and that is not what America should be. And we need single payer. We need Medicare for all. We need better health care. It is a disgrace that a 67-year-old person with knee replacement had to be home at 3 days, and I'm the only other person to help her out there. And, you know, that is why I'm here. I didn't think I had a healthcare story, but after hearing the young lady, we are being really railroaded. Thank you.